We're about to give you our hit sequel to our Vanguard Aaron Maté coverage. So I'm going to set this up very, very quickly. If you're stumbling upon this segment as a YouTube viewer, surely if you're interested in this, you know that Aaron Maté appeared on the Vanguard show about a week and a half ago, and the Vanguard boys decided to ambush him first by grilling him for 25 minutes about his interview with Colonel Douglas Macgregor, who is an outspoken critic of the West's handling of the Russia-Ukraine war. Douglas Macgregor also in that conversation denied that the United States deliberately killed civilians in Vietnam. Aaron Maté pushed back on that claim, but not hard enough for the Vanguard boys' satisfaction. So the first 25 minutes of the interview was them hounding Aaron Maté about why he didn't, I guess, hang up on the guy for saying the wrong thing about the Vietnam War. Yeah. Then they pivoted to an even more ridiculous segment where they mentioned a tweet by Ben Norton which accuses certain left commentators of coddling right-wingers. And the Vanguard guys said, hey, Aaron, what do you think about Ben Norton suggesting that perhaps you are one of these coddlers? Not only do you coddle right-wingers, but you coddle, supposedly, people like Jackson Hinkle and Jimmy Dore who coddle right-wingers. So they were basically accusing Aaron of coddling people who coddle right-wingers. So I guess Aaron was 2 degrees of separation in terms of coddling Marjorie Taylor Greene. And they went on and on about this, and Aaron Maté said, look, if you got a problem with Jackson Hinkle, have Jackson Hinkle on the show and ask him why he coddles Marjorie Taylor Greene. Don't ask me why I coddle Jackson Hinkle. First of all, I don't coddle Jackson Hinkle. And secondly, this is not anything I'm really interested in talking about. You want to talk to me about my ideas, do that. Otherwise, leave me alone. And, of course, you had back and forth. At one point, Gavin, the guy with the long hair, starts laughing at Aaron while he's talking. Aaron goes to speak, and Gavin interrupts with the now
classic
famous... Hey. Exactly. That's now on a soundboard now. He interrupts him. Hey. Just extremely rude and unprofessional interview. They got a lot of heat for it. And so they decided in their Q&A show, when the subject came up, as it inevitably would, that they would address some of these criticisms. And here they are. We're going to play that right now.
Why did your interview with Maté sound like the Cenk interview of Bree?
Just so you know, that setup regarding Cenk and Brianna Joy Gray. Cenk Uygur interviewed Brianna Joy Gray, where he did basically the same thing to her. Why are you so nice to Jimmy Dore? Right, all that shit. Right. Why are you coddling? He called her a coddler too.
So again, like Zach said, you know, I'm willing to admit that it wasn't my best performance. Like, I'm not saying that I fucking destroyed Aaron Maté or that it was like the best debate performance that we've done. No, I'm not saying that. I'm obviously willing to take criticism and hear the feedback. And I understand that a lot of people think that I, you know, went a little bit too aggressive and I got a little bit too triggered perhaps. And I understand that. So I'm not saying that I, like, you know, did a great job or whatever. But yeah, spare me the fucking pearl clutching. Spare me the tone policing. And as far as it sounding like the Cenk interview.
Okay, first of all, spare you the pearl clutching and the tone policing. Nobody's tone policing you. Nobody's saying that you can't curse or you can't be bawdy or you can't be loose and freewheeling. We have guests on our show all the time, and we curse. We talk the way we talk to each other when they're here. That's the idea. We're bringing them into our show. We don't change the whole show for them.
Frankly, we have gotten some very high-end guests who I think were a little taken aback by our swearing and cursing like sailors.
Yeah, but they're good sports. I mean, this is the show they came on, and they were fine, and it was fine. What you did was not just a matter of your tone being off. You were obnoxious and rude, and the key thing here is you were condescending to a guy who, on his worst day, is 100 times the journalist and commentator that you douchebags will ever be. And that's the big issue.
That's it.
So that's the issue. It wasn't that your tone was off. It's that you were being an arrogant little shit.
Right.
All right. Let's keep going.
To your superior.
To your superior, exactly.
Cenk started out that interview by saying, "Why are you friends with Jimmy Dore?" You know, that was basically his first question to Brianna Joy Gray. He was trying to tie her to Jimmy and Tulsi Gabbard. We got like 40 minutes into the Aaron interview before anyone else got brought up. And okay,
that is just flagrantly untrue. First of all, your entire interview was 40 minutes long. The first 25 minutes were about Aaron Maté's soft treatment of Douglas McGregor. So where you got the idea that no one else came up for the first 40 minutes,
well,
I don't know.
They did that. You ever see the Chappelle thing where he had Rick James on, and he the real Rick James, and he's interviewing him,
right?
And Rick James said, "Man, I got," because Charlie Murphy was telling the story about him rubbing his dirty boots on the couch in Eddie Murphy's house. And he goes, "Man, I think I got more sense than to be doing something like that." And then he immediately after says, "Oh yeah, I rubbed my shoes on the couch." And then they did the instant replay. Right. Okay, he did that in the interview with Aaron Maté. He says to him, like, if you're going to cancel Amy Goodman, and Aaron Maté challenged that. He said, I never canceled Amy Goodman. And he literally, it was within 2 minutes, he says, "I never said you canceled Amy Goodman." So these guys are just lying little douches. You know, they're just not even telling the truth. They're not even making an honest argument within their own parameters.
I wasn't even trying to talk about Jackson Hinkle specifically. The reason that got brought up is because I wanted Aaron to react to Ben Norton's tweet. You know, I didn't even want to talk about Jackson Hinkle. He's just, you know, obviously a part of this, but
I didn't want to talk about Jackson Hinkle, even though I brought him up and he is a part of this.
And he wouldn't drop the subject when clearly Aaron kept trying to redirect
right, and he refused
and get
to
off
drop
that
the
subject.
Right, exactly.
I wanted to talk about Ben Norton, Aaron Maté's former colleague, his assessment of this burgeoning faction.
Why did you want to talk about that?
Right, why?
Like that's okay. That's not
right,
okay either. Why did you want to talk about any of this?
Right, it's all gossip.
With Aaron Maté.
Right, with Aaron Maté. Right. Exactly.
Left people like Jackson Hinkle, Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal, people that are trafficking more and more so in right-wing talking points. So I was interested in Aaron's response to his former colleagues' commentary on that situation, because I happen to really agree with Ben Norton. And I think even people that, you know, thought we did a bad job in that debate, I think even people that thought that will agree there is this split among the anti-imperialist left between people like Jackson Hinkle and Max Blumenthal, who increasingly pander to the right wing and traffic in transphobic talking points and cozy up to fascists like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson, and people that don't. I think that's a real dynamic that exists. I wanted to hear Aaron's perspective on it. Unfortunately, you know, the conversation kind of got derailed because Jackson Hinkle got brought up, and then it all.
Jackson Hinkle got brought up. That's a passive way of saying it. You brought Jackson Hinkle up. It's just extraordinary.
Or the Greek, Deus ex machina.
Right, exactly.
It was
just extraordinary.
It came down from the wings.
This guy says we didn't want to talk about other people. We just started out by asking him why he coddled Douglas McGregor. And then our second question was, what do you think of Ben Norton's tweet about Max Blumenthal, Jackson Hinkle, and Jimmy Dore coddling Marjorie Taylor Greene? And do you think you're implicated in that tweet as well? Because he seems to think that you coddle the people who coddle. But we don't want to talk about anybody else. We want to keep this about you. I mean, just absolutely absurd.
All went down the toilet.
What happened with that Aaron thing was he knew he was getting his ass destroyed in that debate by having the simp for a fucking war criminal that had.
You talk about fucking delusional. He knew he was getting his ass destroyed in that debate. He knew he was in that debate on the, you know, third grade schoolyard. Right, when the tall kid is fighting the short kid and the short kid can't reach him, so he puts his hand out on the short kid's head. That was Aaron in that debate. That's how effortlessly he was crushing you in that.
Who am I coddling? Like he was. I kept remarking watching it. This guy must meditate 3 hours a day. How he is maintaining this level of patience and poise, but that's part of it. They're not on his level. They're not on his level. He just didn't even take them seriously.
Absolutely nothing to contribute to the show except being a broken clock that Aaron could put up and spout the opinion that Aaron wanted to, and he knew we were clobbering him for that. So what happened was Gavin pivoted to a new question where he was asking Aaron, and this, you guys can play the fucking clip. I've watched it back. he goes on and Gavin wants to ask him about this new like left-right populist thing going on, and Aaron gets all fucking uppity because he knows exactly what he's talking about, the people that he constantly indulges at all times to pay his bills, and he gets all pissed off and he's like, well, what do you even mean? And Gavin's like, you know what I mean, the guys like Jimmy Dore and Jackson Hinkle who constantly make this kind of content. This would have been a absolute non-issue in any other framing. Like, let's imagine for a second, right, that it's just like that we're having Ron Placone on to react to something that like Crystal Ball said, right? And like, oh, do you fucking agree with this? And then Ron loses him. You should have Crystal here, goddamn. It's like, no, dude, we just fucking asked for your opinion about this random thing.
He didn't lose his mind at all.
No, it was preternaturally calm. It was like the fucking Dalai Lama in that interview.
You guys were the ones who were freaking out for God knows what reason. I don't know what you wanted him to say. I mean, talk about a conversation you can't live.
Yeah, he was the one freaking out. Yeah, now it was Aaron who was freaking out.
Exactly.
Because we use these big names in our fucking thing as framing for good conversation, right? We've done it a million times. And he loses his fucking mind because he can't stand the fact.
Again, he loses his mind? Go back and watch the tape.
So according to some of our viewers, they are roommates in Kansas City.
Oh, that makes sense. It makes sense why the walls and windows are the same.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now this guy goes off on a rant, not about Aaron Maté, but about Jackson Hinkle, which was Aaron Mate's whole point, right? Why are you dragging me into your beef with Jackson Hinkle? Right?
Why are you obsessed with Jackson Hinkle?
This is astounding.
He can't stand the fact that he's fucking associated with the guy that's going to tweet shit like, you're...
So he's associated with the guy who's going to tweet shit. We mentioned that Aaron Maté is associated with Jackson Hinkle, and here's why that's bad, because this is what Jackson Hinkle does. Here's the list.
A femcel if you're a woman and you don't like Andrew Tate, or like Putin is based. Ask me why. It's because it's fucking embarrassing for him, and I can't imagine what
It's not embarrassing for him because he didn't say that. Jackson Hinkle said that. Right. The fact that Aaron Maté has a civil and cordial relationship.
What he kept coming back to is, I will always defend him against censorship.
Right, that's all he said. All he said is he shouldn't be censored.
How does that? He's not owning any of these points on Syria.
Right, exactly. He's not owning any of these points.
It feels like to have to fucking defend that shit. So no fucking shit. He got angry.
He didn't defend it.
Yeah,
he didn't
women who don't like
He didn't even want to talk about it. It was too juvenile for him.
Right. You guys kept grilling him on it because you obviously have an axe to grind against Jackson Hinkle. You guys are using Aaron Maté to fight Jackson Hinkle. It's interesting because Aaron Maté is an expert on proxy wars, and you are using Aaron Maté as a proxy to fight Jackson Hinkle. The Vanguard is fighting Jackson Hinkle to the last Aaron Maté. That's what they're doing.
You're kind of like Putin. They're kind of like Putin.
They're fighting Jackson Hinkle to the last Aaron Maté. That's what they're doing.
That's right.
That's what they're doing. This is a proxy war that they've waged on Jackson Hinkle through Aaron Maté.
Just film cells. Putin is the top G right now. You have to be dumb as rocks. Do you guys think I'm ever going to fucking bend an inch with this bullshit? Of course not, dude.
Look at this imbecile scrolling through Jackson Hinkle's Twitter feed as if it implicates Aaron Maté in anything. I mean, look at the idiocy of this. You would think he's scrolling through Aaron Maté's Twitter feed. If Aaron Maté had on his feed that Putin is based and you're a femcel if you don't like Aaron, okay, this is not Aaron Maté's Twitter feed. This is a guy who knows Aaron Maté, who Aaron Maté said, yeah, he shouldn't be censored on YouTube. And that implicates Aaron Maté in all of these shitty opinions of Jackson Hinkle's? I mean, just laughably idiotic. Shockingly idiotic.
Did Zach date Jackson Hinkle at some point? Because it kind of seems that way.
All right.
It's like he's looking to find out who he's seeing now.
All right. Yeah, right, exactly.
This guy's a fucking clown. Like...
This guy's a fucking clown. What does the screen say there, genius? The screen says Jackson Hinkle, not Aaron Maté. Jackson Hinkle is, if you think Jackson Hinkle is a clown and you want to challenge him on being a clown, then invite him on and call him a clown. Don't invite Aaron Maté on to take sides about whether or not Jackson Hinkle is a clown. Just extraordinary.
It's fucking ridiculous. 5 days into the carnivore diet. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy wants to be the liver king. Oh.
Jackson Hinkle wants to be the liver king. Aaron Maté does not. You're talking about a different person. I mean, how stupid can one jackass be? You're talking about two different people here.
Okay, it's fucking stupid. So no, I don't care about that guy. I don't want to debate that guy. I want to know what if you think that this is a problem, that this is where the fucking left is going through. A year ago, this guy was making a video that said "Rest in power, Ruth Bader Ginsburg," and now he's saying Putin is based. And you don't think that's indicative of any fucking change? This is your fucking guy because one time he plagiarized your fucking article.
It's not his guy. How is it his guy? It's his guy because Aaron Maté, what, knows him and thinks he shouldn't be censored on YouTube? That makes him his guy?
In a debate with Bosch.
This is McCarthyism. This is, have you or anyone you known coddled right-wingers?
Well, this is where sometimes it's frightening because you're on the left and you see people who are, you know, within that spectrum and you say, God, what am I fighting for? Because if these people ever really get any real power, it's going to be like when Bane took over Gotham. They're going to be having kangaroo courts run by the Scarecrow.
Exactly, yeah. Dan K memes, like dank memes. I get it. Excellent work, my friend. And thank you for the $2. We got a super chat here. Thank you so much for doing that. Vanguard is just jelly that Jackson has 6 times more subs. Yeah, Jackson has a much bigger show. And look, I don't mean to get drawn into this beef here, but I'm not the biggest Jackson Hinkle fan. But that's not the point. I mean, it's irrelevant. What I think of Jackson Hinkle is as irrelevant to this conversation.
Jackson Hinkle if he fell on me in a cab.
Yeah, so Russell doesn't even know who he is. I've seen some of his stuff. I'm not a huge fan. Like I said, I feel about Hinkle probably the exact same way that Aaron Maté feels about Hinkle, which is, yeah, he's done some good work. He's done some not so good work. Who gives a fuck? Why are you dragging me on your show to litigate Jackson Hinkle's Twitter feed? It's absurd. It's the most juvenile, absurd fucking thing you could do.
Well, the whole thing, it just sounds like high school.
Yeah, exactly. It's just high school.
Did you hear what he said about her and exactly. She said about him?
What interest does Aaron Maté have in this? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd.
To fucking argue that Syria is something he knows absolutely nothing about. You just like him because he parroted your exact fucking point, issue by issue by issue. Okay, so don't ask us about the Aaron Maté interview, guys. This is low hanging fruit. Unsubscribe if you want to fucking be a gray zone stan. I don't fucking care. I'm not tailoring this content for you.
Or a Do Dissident stan. Unsubscribe and
become a Do Dissident stan.
We need stans. Okay,
I'm not.
Let's get some stans up in this bitch. We need some Do Dissident stans. Okay, we're now accepting.
I am not
stans.
saying we are doing the kind of important journalism that the Gray Zone does, but they're not gonna make a Yiddish oral sex joke. So
That's
there's
true.
that.
Well, there's that, and also look, the Gray Zone. They already have enough stans. Okay. We're a little behind in our stand count.
Fuck them.
Right? Exactly. Fuck them. We could use a few stands. All right. So, look, 300. Yeah, go get your fucking shine box. Exactly. You know, we gained about 300 subs since we published our first Vanguard video. They lost about 300 subs since they published that Aaron Maté interview.
They all came here.
There's a transference of stands going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never going to. It's fucking obnoxious. And if you have 10 brain cells, you can see what's going on with the Jackson Hinkle crowd. You can call everybody soy boys and get jacked eating raw liver somewhere else. It's not going to be the fucking Vanguard chat room.
These guys seem awful hung up on Jackson Hinkle. I mean, you could see he's got a 2-minute rant there about Jackson Hinkle. You could tell Jackson Hinkle really is the third roommate of the Vanguard because he's living rent-free in that apartment somehow. I mean, what the fuck? What is just bizarre? You saw, I mean, he didn't take a breath that whole time. It was pretty good broadcasting. I do have to give him that. Like, that was just a nonstop stream of consciousness. He had good flow there. But how you can go on for 2.5 minutes about what an asshole Jackson Hinkle is, as if that's justification for your treatment of Aaron Maté, which you got called out for by literally thousands of your own viewers. I mean, they had almost 3,000 comments on that initial on the initial interview video, all telling them what assholes they're almost all telling them what assholes they were. How you could think you came off looking good in that, and how it's obnoxious for people to take issue with that, when the very thing they were taking issue with is how just plainly obnoxious you were to him. Just really... That's a hell of a non-apology statement that they put out there.
Please clap.